Shares of Dow component Johnson & Johnson are trading near all-time highs, largely on the strength of its pharmaceutical business. Today, shares closed slightly lower to $113.59. But with a growing threat of lawsuits over its popular talcum powder product, shareholders want to know how J&J plans to grow the rest of its business. Meg Tirrell reports from its Analyst Day meeting in New Brunswick, New Jersey.
Johnson & Johnson makes some of the world's most iconic brands: Band-Aid, Tylenol, Listerine, and more. But the conglomerate's growth in recent years has been driven by its prescription pharmaceuticals. So today, it met with analysts and investors to chart out its plan to grow the rest of its business.
We've been taking a hard look at our portfolio because while we're very excited about the investments that we've been making in the future in certain areas, we realize that in other areas, frankly, we needed to be more effective, more efficient. We also see the business model changing with our medical devices, so making sure that we're sized the right way, that we're organized the right way for emerging customers.
J&J said it plans to apply for approval of more than 20 new products in hospital medical devices over the next 2 years, with sales potential of at least $6 billion. In its consumer-focused medical device unit, which includes contact lenses and diabetes care, J&J says its near-term pipeline has $2 billion in sales potential. Its total medical device business brought in $25 billion last year.
As for its consumer unit, J&J says it's got 3 brands worth $1 billion today. Those are Listerine, Johnson's Baby, and Neutrogena. By 2020, it says it'll add 2 more brands to that list: Aveeno and Tylenol.
Tylenol is part of the company's over-the-counter medicines unit that's still recovering from a series of recalls starting in 2009 that wiped out 2/3 of the unit's revenue.
They really put that behind them, but both those businesses are still growing roughly 2% in aggregate. So they're making the case today why the other half of the portfolio, the device and consumer pieces, are going to reaccelerate and try and close some of that gap with pharma.
More recently, the company's been battling a series of lawsuits alleging its talcum powder is linked to ovarian cancer, a claim J&J denies.
We're disappointed in some of the recent talc verdict findings, and we always have a lot of empathy for plaintiffs and the families that they may represent. But in this case, we think, frankly, it's inconsistent with more than 100 years of experience with powder, more than 30 years of very compelling clinical evidence.
J&J says it plans to appeal. Meanwhile, analysts' focus is on growth, which many expect to see in the form of acquisitions, particularly as biotech valuations have fallen so much in the last year. For Nightly Business Report, I'm Meg Tirrell in New Brunswick, New Jersey.